Great job, Darwin. And welcome everyone to the Women Ignited by Faith Rise Up Together call on this beautiful Tuesday evening. We are with a powerful faith-filled family out on their farm. And as you can see, Darwin is in a grain bin and he just sang Amazing Grace. And in this season of life, it's what we all need is God's amazing grace that can save a wretch like me. It's if you ever feel lost and you want to be found, and you are blind and you want to see again, there's one person that can do that for all of us. And you will just be amazed at the story of this great family that's on the call with us. And right now, we first want to start off with Darwin singing again to share God's greatness and how great thou art. Take it away, Darwin.
Then says my soul, my Savior God to thee, how great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art.
Woohoo! Way to go, Darwin. That was amazing. And we are here tonight again on the farm with Connie, Kelsey, and Darwin, the wonderful family that has the inspiration from God above to do amazing things as we're sitting outside and watching the sunset tonight. It's beautiful. And Darwin, we look forward to hearing from you. But first, we're going to go with the wonderful woman that started all of this, Connie. And when I remember the first time I met Connie, I loved her beautiful heart. And her most favorite Bible verse ever is to be still and know that I am God. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Connie and let her tell you about her wonderful family and the great guests that are sitting with her tonight. So please go ahead, Connie.
Hi, Melanie. This is my daughter, Kelsey. And tonight we're just going to talk a little bit about some things that have happened in the past. And I love that feeling of redemption, because that is a lot of our talk tonight. And I had different things planned for tonight. And then I had read a Bible study this morning and some verses that are just fitting right in. So I'm going to do it just a little bit different than I planned, but I wanted to just start out and let you know that I'm a mother of 3 wonderful children and 10 amazing grandchildren. And my life started out a little bit rocky. I finished nursing school, and then I found out I was pregnant. And so that kind of turned my world upside down. And I did have a relationship with God, but I was not a very strong Christian. I was very young, and I just was ready to get on with my career. And so I set up an abortion. And it's very shameful for me to even think about that at this point in my life, because I look at my family and we have 18 wonderful people that have come from this union, a total of 18 of us. And so God is so good. And I'm just going to read a little bit about that devotion. Oh, that closed again, Kel. Sorry. Sorry. You think you're going to plan it all out, right? Okay. So this is a little devotion I read this morning. Be willing to follow wherever I lead. Follow me wholeheartedly with glad anticipation quickening your pace. Though you don't know what lies ahead, I know, and that is enough. That's important because a lot of times I didn't feel like I was enough when I was younger. Some of the richest blessings are just around the bend, out of sight, but nonetheless very real. I receive these gifts. You must, to receive these gifts, you must walk by faith. And that's what we did a lot when the kids were growing up. We just kind of kept on going and going, and we just made it work. Sometimes I didn't understand. Sometimes I wanted to quit. And, but I just knew that it was the right thing to do, and I would be blessed for continuing. And then we had our little girl, which is sitting beside me here. And then that just reemphasizes that walk by faith and not by sight. This doesn't mean to close your eyes to what is around you. And then sometimes I lead you up a high mountain with only my hands to support you. Oops. Sorry. To support you. The higher you climb, the more spectacular the view becomes. So that kind of talks about how our family just kept growing, and we were just blessed beyond measures. And the more keenly your senses your separation from the world with all its problems, this frees you to experience exuberant, joyous reality in my presence. And then I'm going to read a scripture from John 8:12. However, or whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. So to go back just a little bit, I did set that abortion up, and I called a friend of mine that had gone through kind of a similar situation, and she had gone through with an abortion. And I just thought, well, she'll take me. She'll help me out. And she said, no, Connie, I just can't do it. And I hung up the phone, and that's when the verse of Psalms 46:10 really sunk into my heart. And the be still and know that I am God. And from that point on, my husband and I just kept walking forward in God's grace. And I'm going to turn it over to Kelsey.
Hello. Okay, so yeah, I have with my story, everybody has a different story. Everybody has a different walk of life. Everybody has, when they really opened up their faith to God, that all has changed, or happens at different times in your life. Especially if you compare Darwin with his faith. He's 13 years old, and when I look back when I was 13 years old, the amount of faith that he has is exponential compared to where I was at that point when I was that age. But so I want to kind of start off with when I was younger, I had something happened to me that caused a lot of shame, and I didn't tell anybody what happened. I didn't say a word. After that, I wanted to make myself look as invisible as possible. I was quiet. I was shy. I didn't want to be seen. So I dressed in baggy clothes. I started doing some illegal smoking as well, just to kind of go off into my own world, and just I tried to take the pain away myself. So but yeah, years later, when I was a senior in high school, I had met somebody. We were dating. I thought it was a good relationship. I ended up getting pregnant, and then that's where the abusive, emotional and physical abuse started at that point. And I mean, there was a little bit before, but it really took a turn for the worse then. And at that point, you know, my dad had mentioned, okay, well, these are kind of your options. You can have the child, you can give it up for adoption, which, I was actually really looking at that one because there was some family that couldn't have children. So I'd still be connected with that child or with him and give him up for adoption. And then there was the third option of abortion. And, well, obviously that was not going to be a choice that I was going to make. So I took the road of having Darwin, and it was not easy, obviously. I ended up marrying his dad a year after he was born, and things only got worse. I mean, it wasn't getting better. My faith was getting more distant. Oops, there's a bug. Bugs are joining us now.
Bug in my throat.
So, but my faith was not growing whatsoever. I was getting pulled farther and farther away from my faith. And it got to the point where me and his dad, we separated, got divorced. I moved in with my parents, tried to just straighten everything out. I started going to church every week, and things really took a turn for the better right there. And I was actually finding myself again, because I spent so many years just getting by, and it didn't really feel like I was living either. So, once I moved in, got my own place, and, after a while, I was like, okay, I think I feel like I need to try, be in a relationship again. And I met my husband online, and I was looking for somebody that had the same values I did. And instead of trying to change somebody, which that does not work all the time, because I thought I could change Darwin's dad, and it didn't work. No. So with looking for a future relationship, I knew what route I wanted, and I knew what route Darwin needed, and it has just taken off in such a good way. We you know, me and my husband, we have 3 more children, or we have 3 children together. So we have 4 boys now. And the difference of a relationship can make such a big difference. We started doing youth group in 2017 or 2016. And that even strengthened our relationship even more. It was a lot of work doing youth group. We loved it, and we actually have decided to start up again. We were going to take a break, but we're starting back up again. So it's, you know, it's those things that when God is part of your relationship, it just makes it stronger. And that's the key.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, what an amazing girl she is. She's gone through a lot of issues and a lot of trials, and you know, everybody does that in life, and I think God lets us find our way sometimes. You know, when Kelsey was growing up, we knew that she was quiet. I had no idea that situation had happened to her, and she confided in me years later that was the case. And you know, our communication as a family, that's one thing that we have always been trying to work on is communication. So I kind of realized that God's grown me in a lot of different areas, and I have learned so much from Kelsey and so much from Darwin as they've grown in their faith, and it just keeps flowing back and forth. So,
and I do want to add that you know, I obviously stay connected with Darwin's dad because he is Darwin's dad, and throughout the years I've always prayed for him that things will change, or not change, but things will get better for him. And our communication, and it's really changed for the better too. I mean, things have really improved in that aspect. So
the power of prayer is awesome.
Yes. Yes. Good for you. That's awesome. Is Darwin still there to talk?
No, he's in the house with the 4 little boys,
or the 3 little
or 3. I mean 3 little boys. Sorry, I added an extra one.
I love it. That's okay. I love it. And your story is so powerful. When you think of what you did and what you had to go through, and in those darkest of times, just like a lot of people feel like right now in this season of life, they're walking through some of the darkest times in their life. And you are that shining light of say, don't give up, pray about it, be still, wait on God to give you the right message, to help you make the right decision. Because that's his amazing grace at its finest hour, that he will always show a way. And your walking by faith and not by sight has definitely strengthened everything about who you are and what you stand for. So I would just love to ask a question, and I know we didn't talk about this, but I know you can both answer this. Tell us what the most important thing is that you two do every day to keep your strong faith.
You want to go first?
Okay. Well, I do have that Bible app on my phone, and that alone has helped tremendously because it has a plan at the bottom. I click on it. It has my devotion. It has the scriptures in the Bible I can read, and I can journal afterwards. So it's kind of short and sweet and to the point because I only have so I I don't have very much time with the boys. They're pretty active in sports. They're just very busy boys.
Yes.
So having my my Apple or my the Bible app on my phone is very helpful.
Yep. And I also try and do a devotional every morning. And also something that I have found that's really kind of soothing for me is in the morning, when I wake up in the morning, I always have a song in my head. So I try and write down, and I don't get this done every day just because of busyness. But um, I um, actually made a commitment this week because Gary and I are in what's called a life group, and so one of the things they had asked is, what do you do to keep keep engaged and keep some intimacy with God, and so I'm making a commitment to do that every day, to hear that song, write it down, just a few verses. And then what I do is later in the day, I'll come back and do a little bit of journaling. And it's amazing how much just those few words that I get in the morning can kind of open up my heart.
It's so great. And you two are two of the most phenomenal women I have ever met, a mother-daughter team that have truly followed the path of rising up together. And as the sun sets on your beautiful faces tonight, we just want to reach out and say thank you so much for being on the call, ladies. We're honored to have you here, and thanks for teaching us all of the great things that God has done in your life, but to be still and know, and to have that childlike faith that you've instilled in Darwin, in your children. And best of all, just to know, I have this bracelet and it says all the things that you've said there, is to know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. So thank you so much, ladies, for being our inspiration tonight. It was great to have you on the call. And as the sun is setting, we want to send a blessing out to all the farmers who are busy, as your husband is, Kelsey, out working in the field. And we're forever grateful to them for putting the food on our table each and every day. And to the big guy upstairs, the God that does it all, we so want to reach out in this season of life when things aren't so perfect in our world. We know that God, you will heal your world. And for that, we say, thank you, God. Woo! Have a great night, everyone. Thank you for being on the call, ladies. You're awesome.
Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.